All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another one of my interviews. I'm finally back after quite a bit of a break from my interviews in December and a little bit in November. I am finally back here in 2025. I can't wait to do this again. So, my first guest of 2025, he is a current pro wrestler. He has wrestled for the company's WWE for the WWE Cruiserweight Classic. He's wrestled for AEW, GCW, MLW, Zero One, Dragon Gate, Michinoku, and much, much more. He is known under Hong Kong Cool Star. He is no other than HoHo Lun. So we'll get him on in here, and then we'll start on with the interview. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning. It's night for me.
Good evening, Blake. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you for taking your time out to do this. It's a pleasure to have you on here. All right. So the first question I'll ask you is, when did you get into the wrestling business and what just made you want to do it?
It's been so many years. This is my. Is everything okay? The audio and everything, is it okay? Yeah.
Yep, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me fine?
Actually, yeah. Okay, let's start again. This is actually my 15th year as a professional wrestler. I actually start both as a promoter and a wrestler at the same time. 15 years ago, there's no wrestling in Hong Kong or anywhere else in Asia other than Japan. So I wanted to wrestle, but there's nothing like this in my area. So I decided to start my own wrestling company. And that's how I started. That was 2007. I started my wrestling company in Hong Kong in a little warehouse in the middle of the city. Start the first show 2009, and the journey starts there.
Nice, yeah. And how's that company going for you? Is it still running, doing good?
Yeah, I remember the first event in the warehouse. That was a really hot summer in a warehouse with no air conditioning. We've got the industrial fan, how strong it's.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like two of them inside the building, but the fan are blowing out like hot wind. It's not like cool wind, it's like hot wind because it's so hot in the building.
Right.
So there's no choice. It's a pretty small warehouse. It fits around like 50 people, and actually 15 people just come in just right. From there we start to do event every month until around 2 years later, we stopped operating the warehouse and we moved to a bigger venue, a real performing venue. It's not like a warehouse anymore. It's a venue with all the lightings and everything. That was 2011, draw about 150 people. From there, we put on wrestling event every 2-3 months. And until 2019 was like my best year. We run a building of 300 people 3 days straight and all sold out. And
Nice.
then 2020 I passed it on to one of my fellows in Hong Kong, and then I focused more on my career in Japan.
Nice, yeah. So now you have more free time in your life, so now you can do more wrestling out of that.
Yeah, because now I work for this company, Dragon Gate in Japan.
Yeah.
There's so many things going on here. We are one of the busiest wrestling company in Japan. 180 shows a year, so basically one show every other day.
Oh wow.
And I don't wrestle 180 times, but still make
Right.
me like busy enough um, to have to be focused on the career in Japan.
Right. So now that it's 2025 and just a couple days out of 2025, what are some of like your wrestling New Year's resolutions that you'd like to succeed and achieve?
Um, is Last year, 2024, was my busiest year. Other than wrestling in Japan, I wrestle in UK, China, a lot of other places in Southeast Asia, and then of course in the United States. I was there for the WrestleMania weekend. And this
Right.
year, I am pretty sure, 90% sure, I'm coming back again for the WrestleMania this weekend. And this year will be in Las Vegas, right? And
Yep.
I'll see what happened, what's going on from there. Um, Other than wrestle here in Japan for Dragon Gate, I'm also responsible for a lot of overseas talent relationship matters. So I hope to bring more Dragon Gate back to the US. We have Dragon Gate USA back in 10 years ago, which was really really popular, and I
Yeah.
wanted to make that happen again. Um, Dragon Gate USA and myself, I want to come here in the US and look for more opportunity over here. So yeah, the main focus will be in Japan. The main overseas focus will be back here in the United States.
Nice. Yeah. I think a lot of the United States fans would like to have you back and see you again. Did you watch wrestling as a kid? If so, who were some of your like favorite wrestlers growing up if you had the chance to watch it from China?
There's not a lot of chance to watch it, I tell you. Um, there's one cable TV um, back when I was a kid that aired WCW for a while, and at the same time there's a Japanese TV channel which we can watch it back home that have New Japan. So you remember that time back in 1994, 1993, they worked together quite a lot, WCW and New Japan. So that actually catch my attention because I see the same wrestler, different setting, Japan and WCW Nitro, but
Right.
then it's the same wrestler, and then that start having interested. I watch Japanese. Everyone like love watching Great Muda, um,
Mm-hmm.
Liger, Chono, and then the other side we've got Sting and Ric Flair, and that's the era that I start watch wrestling with. And then it just stopped. Back in the days, we've got something called trading tapes, like VHS tapes. I'm not
Right.
sure if
Yeah.
you're familiar with that. I have to
Yeah.
order because I don't speak Japanese when I was a kid. Well, I don't speak much now though, but I spoke like zero Japanese. So I've got to order my VHS tape from America Source to mail back
Mm.
there to China. So the footage travel over the road from Japan to my USA source, and then from the USA supplier back here in my home. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the generation that I grew up watching wrestling. If I wanted to,
Nice. Yeah. That was a good time in the wrestling world. I mean, a lot of the greats wrestled back then at that time. So, I mean, do you keep up with like the business nowadays, like WWE and AEW? If so, who are like some of your favorites to watch now?
yeah, I I really don't have time to watch the whole show, Raw, SmackDown. Um, some of the time I watch like short clips on Twitter, YouTube.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, watch it on and off. I watch it quite a bit, and then yeah, a lot of things is very interesting. I watch a bit of yeah, John Cena is having his last year this year, right?
Yeah,
And I
that's
can't
right.
wait.
Yeah.
And I think he said he's gonna have a real full time run in WWE this year. So this is
That's right.
the thing that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, he's going to be at every pay-per-view apparently. He's going to be like
I'm not sure
like
if
at
he's
like
gonna be in weekly Raw and SmackDown, but if he does, that would be
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I know he'll be at the first Raw on Netflix this
Oh,
upcoming
that's
Monday.
that's tomorrow, right? That's next week, next Monday.
Um yep, that's
It's
next
what?
Monday. Yeah.
It's Sunday today. No, it's Friday. Oh, it messed up now. All the holiday break, I can't remember what day it is.
Yeah, we both have two different days. You're a day ahead of me, so it's kind of
Yeah.
different.
Mm.
Yeah. Who were some of your wrestling trainers who helped you out get into the business?
I actually start step in the ring with a guy called the Slam. He is one of the first person to bring wrestling into China back in 2004. He was an exchange student in Korea and he trained there part time. And then, hear me the same. We find out there's no wrestling in our area, so he built a wrestling ring back in his home. So I went to his home all the time, like once a week or something. It's not far away from Hong Kong. It's about 100 miles away from Hong Kong in this place. So I travel back
Nice.
and forth every week to get Slam by the Slam. This is what he referred to his ring name. He still wrestles today. He's like 45 now. So I received my fundamental training from there. And then 2011, I start my first, actually 2010, I have my first overseas excursion. I shut my warehouse back in 2011, right? And then
You're right. Yep.
I spent, I think I spent like 9 months in the UK and try to prove that the training there in China is okay, and it turns out okay. And I start having bookings from local promotions. 2011, it's uh, a lot of them are like kids show. You go there and then most of the fans are kids. But it's
Yeah.
actually a good way to start holiday camps and all that. So I remember the training start like for 2 months, and then I start receiving all the booking. This promotion is called 4FW. It's renamed as British Kingdom Wrestling now. It's based in Swindon in the UK, and that place
Yeah.
give me a lot of fundamental. And then 2012, I came to Japan for the first time, and with the 01 Dojo. Mm. And then that was all the training that I received. And then the other step up was when I went to the performance center 2016.
Right.
Training in the performance center actually give me one level up, on my wrestling move. No matter the talking and the wrestling, you know, that kind of
Right.
thing. And then
Yeah.
one more step up here when I come here in Dragon Gate 2019. I a lot of people say, yeah, I wrestle for 3 years now, wrestle for 4 years now, but for me, wrestling is an ongoing learning process. You go to one place, you see something in person, it's totally different. Especially performance center or wrestling here in Japan. You come
Right.
here in person and you see something in person, it's totally different from things you watch it on TV and YouTube.
Yeah, I agree. So you've almost wrestled all around the world. Where are some places that you might not have wrestled that you would like to still?
I actually don't know. I've actually wrestled in a lot of places, and I actually wrestled in a lot of places that I didn't expect it to.
Right.
I remember back in 2016, I wrestled in a place in Nepal, um, and I didn't expect a lot of people come in, and it's a stadium. It's a
Right.
stadium show, and there was almost like 5,000 people there. I came out from the back, so the backstage is like it's like a wooden house, the mud everywhere. So I didn't expect much. Then they said it's your match, and went out. Really? It's like 5,000 people there. I, I really can't think of a place that I wanted to wrestle and I didn't wrestle in. Oh, maybe Australia.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of promoter in Australia on and off for a couple of years now, but still didn't work out. So yeah, this might be one of my goals here in 2025. Then
Yeah, there we go. Get a gig in Australia, that would be great.
yeah.
I'd like to also maybe have you in Wisconsin. Have you heard of that place in America?
What's that place again?
Oh, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin? No, I've never been there.
All right, yeah. Maybe sometime that would be great to have you here at a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Who would you say has been the stiffest wrestler you've gone in the ring with in your career?
The what? The stiffest? Wow.
Yeah.
Many, many.
Oh,
Many,
really?
many, I tell you. Yeah. Especially my run. Um, because I'm not big. You know what I mean? I am
Right.
considered a small guy. No matter it's in Japan or in the US. In the US, I'm obviously much smaller. Um, so it's actually tougher for us, because we have a powers difference. And then I threw one chops, and the other guy threw one chops, and the other guy is always out chops me. So there's no ranking. It's like a lot.
Right. Do you consider yourself stiff, or are you like more of like the soft?
I put a in the past, I do like basic wrestling forearm and all the things, flying drop kicks. But recently, um, well, that was referring to my first stage 10 years ago, and then recently I put a lot of kung fu maneuver to my wrestling, all the kicks and the punch, and I did a lot of drop kicks from the top rope,
Yeah.
second rope, from the floor. Sometime in one match I throw like 6 drop kicks. um, I think people love to see my drop kicks and some of the kung fu maneuver. um, I don't know if you call it soft or stiff, but it's for the audience to decide.
Yeah. Out of all the companies you have wrestled for, which one would you say has been like your top favorite?
I'm obviously here in Dragon Gate.
Yeah.
Um, wrestling in Japan is so much different from wrestling in the US. Wrestling in the US, you always travel on your own, go on a midnight flight and reach the venue at noon and, wrestle there. And then catch
Yeah.
the midnight flight back for the Sunday show.
You're right.
In Japan, we travel like a team, we do road trip on a bus with 20, 30 of us travel together. We wrestle the same team almost every time. From time to time, we have outsiders who come in to join us for the shows, but only very limited time. But most of the time, we travel as a team. So here in Dragon Gate, most wrestling in Japan, I think they do it the same. Um, the travel is so much less hassle. We don't need to worry about what hotels we're staying, because there will be a hotel. Sometime I
Yeah.
don't know where to go, but you'll end up in a hotel after the night, and
Right.
you'll be in the venue on time. And if there's a traffic, or trouble going on the travel, that will be the whole team together with you, so you don't have to be worried about all the travel. As a wrestler, sometimes the thing you worry most are not in the ring, but all the other things, the merch, the travel, everything. But as we are here in Japan as a team, everything has someone to take care of. So yeah,
Hmm.
the Japan, traveling experience were always great.
For sure. How did you get your nickname Hong Kong Cool Star? Where did that come from?
Oh, where did that come from? Where did oh When I first started, I have this karaoke character, which I come out from the curtain. I come in and sing karaoke, and then the moment I sing song, and then I think this is the name. Someone just gave it to me, and I just used it. I think it's all come
Right.
out from the karaoke character. I come up with the sunglasses, a green sunglasses like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, sing song. I don't sing song anymore, but yeah, still keeping the name. But probably when I was with the sing song character.
Right. When did you start learning English, and was learning it hard for you, or did you find it easy?
I have my basic education in Hong Kong. Back in the days, it actually got taught in English.
Mm.
I speak
Oh wow.
Chinese with my family
Right.
and
Yeah.
friends, of course. But then in school, we have English class, of course. We have Chinese class, of course. But then we have all the science class, and what the other class we got, mathematics class. All of them are in
Right.
English. So that's how I pick. But then I don't speak very good English until I actually start wrestling in the UK, because I am forced to speak English.
Right.
In Hong Kong, the first 18 years of my life, I only need to speak English a little bit at school for like 3 hours a day, and then the rest of the time I speak Chinese. But then coming
Yeah.
to the UK for like 9 months, zero Chinese. I still go to Chinatown, but Chinatown people speak English to me. So, so yeah, I actually pick up and speak a little more when I come out and wrestle, and then I stay in the state. I stay in Florida for like another year. This is how I pick up my English a little bit, so that you can
Right.
understand.
I mean, I think you're English as well. So,
Yeah.
what are some differences between the wrestling style and like the fans and etc. in China and Japan from in America?
Mm, let's talk about China, right? Because in Japan or the US, I'm sure a lot of your audience knew about this, but in China, right? Um, Wrestling is still a very, very new sport to them, very new way of, you know, we call it a fighting drama or anything.
Yeah.
So their the image of wrestling were the stuff that they watch it on TV, like the WWE. WWE, sometimes they come in, they don't call it wrestling. They call it, let's go to watch some WWE. That
Right.
referring to they come to watch some wrestling. But they will
Yeah.
say, oh, let's go to watch some WWE. Yeah, we've got WWE this weekend. It's not the WWE, it's the local wrestling, but they call it the WWE. Um,
Right.
there's a very one of the hottest phenomenon now here in China. There's a dim sum restaurant and they put on a wrestling ring there like 2 months ago, and it suddenly got very popular. They have it out west every week, and they call it dim sum WWE.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, um, you know, Other than the casual fans, they're a small group of real wrestling fans. They know what's going on. They know what move is what move, and they're used to some more smaller wrestling company. They chant on everything, and they do English chant, the "This is awesome" chant, the you suck" chant, because they
yeah.
watch it from the WWE, and then they don't know how to chant it in Chinese. And this is actually one of my vision wrestling in China. When I was in the ring, I'll call all the fans in Chinese, and then I start making them, chant some Chinese chant. Um, it's a culture that's has been building and is still building. I wanted to make it, a unique culture. There's China, especially in China. The northern China and the southern China, they speak the different language. We call it Chinese, but they call it Mandarin and Cantonese.
Oh yeah.
So it's totally different. If you're wrestling in Beijing one day and the other day you're wrestling in Hong Kong, and you see a totally different. It's like wrestling like two country.
Right.
Fans are totally different. They react on different things. But you know what? I'm natively from Hong Kong, and I familiar with what's going on in Hong Kong more than for example, the northern part of China. Yeah. So the southern fans, we work together better.
Of course, yeah. What did it mean for you to represent Hong Kong, China in your hometown during your time in the WWE?
Yeah, this is how I got introduced to the WWE universe. Cruiserweight Classic, they call me a representative from Hong Kong, China. Um, at first, uh, at first, I actually don't know to how to reflect this character on TV, but then I slowly find out and building my own character as a Chinese kid who know a little bit of kung fu and be in America fighting all the big men.
Yeah.
Um, but unfortunately, that WWE run is not really long enough for me to, put on my full character there. But I'm lucky enough to wrestle a few times on NXT TV. I remember back in the time, there's over 100 talents in NXT, and there are
Wow.
people who sit there for like 6 months and don't have any TV times, and I feel like I'm lucky enough to have all the opportunity to be there. That's why I feel like I still need to come to the US a few more times to establish the real character. That's what I did last year over WrestleMania weekend with Defy and GCW, and I'm hoping this year I'm coming back to the US again to establish more with my character, follow up the
Right.
storyline, to finish up my story, not finish up my story, to follow up my story from 2016, and eventually, eventually I still want a run in the US anywhere, ideally in NXT, but there's a lot of places now in the US. The indie scene is so hot in the US now, so let's see what happens this year.
Right. Yep. I mean, this year just started, so you never know.
Yeah.
Do you usually get a lot of like contacts to go get book or like a lot of bookings for the US most times?
um, do you mean in the US or do you mean anywhere else?
The US. Do you usually like get a lot of bookings for the US?
Um, mm, mm, if I'm in the US, I will start approaching promoters that I'm here in the US. I'm based in here and there, and I'm available this and that. What you think? This is usually how I approach. Um, Usually I got something when I'm in the US, but I actually only did two tours, one back in 2021 and one last year. But the 2021 I came here for like 3 months. The last year one I only come for like 3 days, so I don't think it counts. Um, so this year I didn't confirm. I didn't decide which days actually I'll be here yet because there's a lot of things in Japan happening as well. So
Right.
once I can confirm how long I can be away from Japan, then I'll try to find opportunities.
Right. Because I know you were at like a convention, I think it was last year, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be cool to see you at more conventions maybe this year, like
Mm-hmm.
signings and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel knowing that you were the first ever Hong Kong wrestler that WWE ever had?
Um. Um. Yeah. I am actually, how to say, I'm not only the first WWE Chinese wrestler that WWE have, but then I actually the first person in the surrounded area, Asia. I actually start up an industry here in Asia, Southeast
Right.
Asia. So being in WWE as that identity, I don't feel a lot of different from what I'm actually doing. That um, the only big change that I have when I come to the US is the number of audience, coming into the venue, and people will expect something. They expect to see something from you, um, because I'm advertised as the first person here and there, and they would expect something. Um, they expect something that you perform in the ring, but then most of the things back there in Asia, as the first person who started a wrestling company in Southeast Asia,
Right.
the things that I use most is not wrestling in the ring, but handling thing backstage, producing shows and all that. So there's a lot of pressure, um,
Hmm.
coming into the US as the first wrestler in China, in Hong Kong, China. At the same time, they actually signed um, a Chinese guy there called Wang Bin. He renamed as Tian
Okay.
Bin later on, and we were in some tag matches in NXT a few times. Um, he's a bigger dude. He's like 6'5", big dude, China. Um, yeah, a lot of pressure from there, because I know the fans will expect something from me, and but then it's a good experience. It established me as a character in the U.S. Wrestling scene, and no matter when I come back, I still have a place there, and I really appreciate WWE when they give me this character.
Of course. Yeah. So, what was it like for you getting to take part in the WWE tryouts in China? And what was it like when you got the approval that you were going through?
I was there with the 2016 tryout, and as you know, there's not much of an independent wrestling scene there in China. So I was there with 40 other people,
Oh, wow.
which over 35 of them are athletes from from different things. Um, that's why I have a little bit of advantage in, because
Right.
when the trial goes on, there's some basic wrestling drill that you need to go through, which for me, that's my everyday thing for a few years now. But for the other athlete, well, they are real elite athlete. They were like professional boxer, professional weightlifter, and all that. Amazing. But then when it comes to wrestling drill, it becomes something new to them, and
Right.
it's my everyday thing. So I have a little bit advantage on that. I remember William Regal was there, Matt Bloom was there. Um, and that's the thing that I think with the wrestling drill, I got caught their eye, and eventually got approval to be there in NXT.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who were some of like your favorite coaches that you got to work with during your time there? I know there's a video out there with Matt Bloom with like you're doing a short interview for the WWE and Matt Bloom comes up to you and like starts choking you out. um,
Yeah. Matt Bloom was one of my favorite. And then I remember what my time I worked a lot with Robbie Brookside.
yeah,
There's a lot of similarity working with Brookside because of my experience within in the UK on and off 2-3 years. So I enjoy my time with Brookside, and also who was there? Norman Smiley was there as well. So I enjoy working with him. Matt Bloom, of course.
right.
Those are great times.
Yeah, getting trained by legends that used to wrestle back in the day. That's cool.
Yeah.
What was it like for you when you traveled the first time overseas? Was it was it difficult? Was there any like terror? Were you scared at all? Or
Yeah, I remember the first time I traveled overseas was most places here in Asia. Uh, if the show is on Saturday, I would fly myself on a Thursday, have a whole day Friday off, and to perform on a Saturday. Um, because I'm not used to flying and all that.
yeah,
But now I can basically fly out on a Saturday morning and do the show on Saturday night and come back on a midnight flight. And yeah, back there in the US as well, we were doing all the Florida tour, and always Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and drive all over the place. I don't remember driving that much before coming to the NXT. I drove a bit, but like not like 200 miles a day
right,
at this
right,
rate, right? Sometimes it's like 400 miles away because 200 going and 200 coming back, from Orlando to Jacksonville, and come back is already 300 miles.
right,
Um, um, yeah, so I'm not scared driving anymore because of that.
right.
Um, yeah, in fact, I did a few. After that, I did a few trips. I drove from Hong Kong to Shanghai. That was like 1,000 miles,
Oh
and
wow.
I can manage. Oh, it's a bit tiring though, but I
All
can
by
still manage
yourself?
that. We have like two persons, but still,
Hmm.
it's 500 mileage. It's good enough for us. Yeah, I'm not scared of travel anymore. Yeah. Sometimes in the past, when I miss a flight, not miss a flight, sometimes when the flight got canceled, I've never missed flight for so many years. This is a thing that I'm proud of. I've never missed flight, but sometimes flight got canceled, and
Right.
I'm not panic anymore because I know there's a replace coming in pretty soon, and unless there's a show coming on. But yeah, luckily enough, I've never missed a show because of the travel. But then not panic anymore with the travel.
That's good. Yeah. What has been like the best fan interaction you've had, or like one of the funniest fan interactions that you've seen?
Earlier last year, 2024, I was back in UK. I was back in Swindon wrestling there. There's a young man coming in. HoHo Lun, uh, I'm glad you're back. Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, I watched you when I was a kid, when I was like this small. What? When I was this small? Yeah, I first wrestled in Swindon back in 2011, and it's 2024 now. So
Right.
he was 10. He's gonna be 24 now. So okay, that's really interesting to me because there's actually a fan who watched me when he was a kid and come back again because I was there. So this make me feel old. But then it's really interesting to see fans still remember me after all the years I've been away from Swindon, I've been away from the UK, and they keep supporting me. I mean, he also mentioned that he watched me on NXT and he can't believe that he watched me when he was a kid, and then I was saying NXT, and then coming back again as a Dragon Gate wrestler, 2024, still there, and he's still there, and we have a chat about this, we have a laugh about it.
That's great. Yeah. What is some of like the best fan art you have received in your career, if you've received any?
Um, yeah, from time to time I've received a lot of drawings on Instagram or something. But there's one thing I received a custom action figure
Oh yeah, nice.
um, of me. I have all my wrestling gear on me, and they actually find a face that's similar. Well, it can't be 100% similar, but
Right.
similar face as mine. So that's that's one of the best fan art that I receive.
Right. Of course. Because that WWE never gave you a figure. Was there any talks ever of WWE ever giving you a figure possibly during your time there?
No, I only receive a few. I think I have released like one or two trading cards. That's it.
Nice, yeah. I think I wish they would have released a figure. That would have been great.
Yeah,
Like the NXT takeover figures that they had back in the day.
yeah.
When was the first time or first show you got asked to be part of that you did outside of China and overseas in America?
Um, the first show of what?
What was like the first show outside of China? Sorry, that you did.
Um, when was that? 2011. That was UK, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I fly myself to UK. Train there, and that was 2011. Before that, I only wrestled in China.
yeah. Who was the first person you talked to when you got to the WWE? Who introduced you when you got there? Who was like accepting of you and started talking to you?
It might be, you know, the first week being there with the Cruiserweight Classic was like a dream to me.
All right.
It's still very unreal at this point in my life. I believe that was William Regal. I might be
Nice.
wrong because it's actually feel like a dream.
Right.
It probably William Regal and Matt Bloom. Yeah, the two of them.
Nice. Yeah. Out of everyone you were in the WWE with, who would you say you got along with the most and hung out with, like backstage or elsewhere most times?
Um, yeah, I travel a lot with Tian Bing. We were a tag team over there, and we actually share same apartment, so we travel
Okay.
together all the time. And then I travel a lot with Kenta as well. He was
Oh,
Hideo
okay. Yeah.
Itami when he was there.
Nice.
Yeah, we travel together all the time. Um, yeah, backstage, I mean, everyone is cool. Backstage, I'm fine with almost everybody.
Yeah.
Who's there still there? Street Profits. We wrestle with
Oh,
each
yeah.
other quite a lot during the time in NXT. And OTs,
Oh, yeah.
OTs. He was in a tag team called Heavy Machinery back in NXT,
Right.
and we also wrestle a lot. Um, but he become OTs now, and yeah, everyone was very, very friendly back then in NXT.
Yeah. How did you and Tyon get to become a tag team? Who came up with the idea to put you two together?
Um, I think the first spot was there's a tag team tournament happening in NXT, Dusty Road Classics, and then I think because both me and him are Chinese, so they put us as a tag
Right.
team, and then from there we work together as a tag team, all the time.
Right. Yeah. I think you two did great together. I think a great faction would have been you, Tian, uh, Kenta, and Yoshi. Four of you. That would have been a great faction.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and we are all in
Out
Japan
of
now.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Hey, maybe it could happen in Japan. I mean, never say
Yeah,
never. It's 2025 now, so
yeah.
out of all your matches you've got to do in your WWE career, which one would you say is your most favorite? And if it's hard to pick one, you can pick two or whatever.
Um, um, During my time in NXT, it probably was a single match with Andrade.
Oh yeah,
That I think that's one of the match on NXT TV. It's a quick match, um, but then Andrade is really tough. He's tough guy. He give you talking about Steve Chops. He gives Steve Chops
yeah,
and almost killed me with a big clothesline. And I still remember. Oh, talk about that. I still got pain here. Clothesline out my chin off. Yeah, that's one of my favorite match with Andrade.
right,
Got a Yeah, I actually got a ho chant during that match. Andrade was a heel at that point, and yeah, he's a tough opponent.
for sure. And you guys both have like great agility together. Like you two do like the flips and all of like the moves like that. So it's great. You two
Yeah,
work
and
well
I remember,
together.
I wrestled with a T-shirt on, right?
Yeah,
he's trying to chop me, right? And then he tried to rip off my T-shirt and give me a chop. He didn't, and then he can't rip my T-shirt off, and my T-shirt like still goes on very, very toughly. Still there, rip off, rip off, rip off, and my T-shirt still there. And okay, just chop me.
right. Like Hulk Hogan, the shirt rip.
Yeah, he just can't rip it off. I was like, "What are you doing? He's just trying to rip it off." And
That must have been embarrassing for him in the moment.
yeah, he's trying to rip it off, and then even my head is like, it's actually forcing my head to move more than my T-shirts, and he just can't rip it off. It's probably some good stuff made in China.
Right. Is there any time you have accidentally broken out of your wrestling persona in a match or anything?
um, Actually, no. I think no.
Good, yeah.
Mm.
Who is one wrestler you never got to get into the ring with that you wished you could have in the WWE or just in general, I guess. Yeah, let's say just in general.
Mm. Hmm. There's a lot of up and coming young wrestler here in Asia. Uh, since I first start the wrestling company in Hong Kong, then during 2012, between 2012 and 2019, there's a lot of other wrestling company established in Korea, Thailand, Singapore, um, what else? Malaysia, Vietnam, and even China. There's a few more wrestling company coming up. So there's a lot of young talent that you might never heard of was pretty good, and it's really hard to find the footage because they're not wrestling in some main company, not even in
Right.
Japan or America, only in local social media and local YouTube. So you probably never heard of them, but they were pretty good, I tell you. For example, there's a Dante Chen. He's from Singapore and he's in NXT
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And these are the unseen talents from Singapore, and there's much more than that. Um, you'll have to you have to like look for them to be able to see them. So I would say a lot of young talent here in Asia, I would be happy to face them.
Right, of course. So I know there's a story behind your WWE release. So what is that story behind your WWE release, and did you feel bad that you had to leave the WWE?
At that point, I would think that was the best decision. You know
Yeah,
what I
of
mean?
course. Right. Yeah.
Um, but then when I look back, I mean, I still think it's a good decision, but it's might
Right.
not be the best. um, yeah, the main reason I left the WWE because I wanted to be with my parents a little bit more because my mom was not really well by the time I was there. And at that time I thought USA, China, that's so far apart. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be closer with my mom because she was probably the last 1 year of her life. And then at the same time, actually at the same time, when I left WWE, I got an offer from a casino in Macau to produce wrestling show there. So I
Oh,
would
wow.
say, yeah, I would say, okay, let's take that because Macau and Hong Kong is only like 1 hour apart, 30 miles. So it's basically home. Um,
Right.
Being in Macau, I produced wrestling show there for Casino Complex. And at the same time, I could visit my mom once or twice a week. At that point, I would say that was the best decision I made. But think of it now, if I were able to stay in America for a little bit more. Um, it's only like a 15-hour flight from Florida to Hong Kong.
Right.
And I could still visit my parent, but a little bit tiring maybe. I'm not
Yeah.
scared of travel, but only now I'm not scared to travel. I was still panicking traveling, back in the days. Um, Yeah, if I could achieve more, I would. I mean, in terms of being in USA, but at that point, I would say that was the correct decision, and my mom was actually happy for me, staying there for 1 year, 2 year, and then eventually From Macau, I worked there for 2 years, worked for a few casino complex to put on wrestling show there. That was an achievement for me as well. I mean, I think nobody in the wrestling business have ever, wrestled in Macau. Macau is like the Las
Yeah.
Vegas of China. We have all the casino complex there with Wien, with MGM, with what else? Venetian. It's exactly the same as Las Vegas. So was happy to be there for 2 years, produce a couple of shows, and be close to my parents, and eventually it's opened up an opportunity for me to come to Japan here for Dragon Gate. Um, but then USA, I think is for me is something unfinished, and I wanted to continue to establish more in the US. So let's see what happens
Right.
next year.
Right. So if WWE called you right now, like Triple H or somebody, and they asked you to return to do like a Royal Rumble or return full time, would you take up that offer?
Yeah, I'll ask when. As I said, it's an unfinished business, and they gave me this Chinese kid character, and it is actually the best way to establish this character because WWE is they cover a lot of audience, and this is a character that based on a lot of people's heart, and I'm using this character and I add a little bit of I add not little bit I add a lot of kung fu maneuver into my character
Right.
that where I use here in Japan a lot now. So I feel like my character is so much stronger than I was in 2016. So if there were a chance to be able to perform for the US audience again, I am 10 times more confident now.
Of course, yeah. And I think the fans would love to see you back in the WWE. It would be a
Yeah.
surprise, and it would be just great. So I know, just talk about like your comeback to the WWE tryouts when you had your tryouts in 2019. What was that like? You came back for tryouts, and how did that come about?
So 2019, there was another tryout happened in Shanghai, and there were another 40 participants, but that time there were 20 of them from the wrestling scene. The other 20 were different kind of athlete, and they've got local wrestler from China, and then they also called up wrestler from Thailand, Singapore, where else, and Philippines as well, and Japan, of course. And I was invited to be there. I'm not participating for the tryout, but I was there
Yeah.
um, because the 20 indie wrestlers from Asia, we work together all the time. So they said, yeah, let's come here, and we figure out what to do, help a little bit with all the translating work, and because I know them so well, and then they have a language barrier over there, so let's see what I can do. I said, yeah, I came in, I came in a suit, not the tracksuit, like suit and
Yeah.
tie. So I sit there a few days, and during 2019, there were always a talk where WWE NXT want to start performance center here and there, and then the global expansion, all that. So I was waiting for an opportunity for if they got a global expansion or something. Well, eventually it doesn't happen because 2020, the world shut down.
Right.
2020. Um, but I always keep in contact, with NXT and see if there's future opportunity. Maybe we can work together again. We keep keeping a relationship there.
Right. Maybe 2025. I mean, you never know.
Hmm.
You know the WWEID thing that's going around. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I see a few here and there. I think it started like a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah, and then there's like indie wrestlers that are going under the WWE ID contract. Do you think you could see yourself going under that?
Well, I think this WWE ID thing was for people who've never wrestled in WWE before, and it's now only for the indie scene for wrestling companies in the US. If WWE is open for example, an Asia component in the WWE ID, I would be pretty happy if I can be a part of that. I'm not young anymore. I'm 38 this year, but I think I know all the promotions here enough to be able to, support in a way if they want to scout
Right.
local talents from Asia. As I said, there's a lot of people that you've never heard of. You have to look for them to find them. And
Oh, right.
I am your directory.
Was there any talks of you possibly going to main roster during your time there, or was that like, did you have too short of a run to not have any talks there?
Yeah, it was a little bit too short of a run, I think. At that time, there's a thing called 205 Live. It was
Yeah.
filmed right after every SmackDown, and I think I was there a couple of times, but they just didn't use me. So yeah, just too short of. If I were there long enough, there always be a chance.
Right. I feel like you would have done like incredible work on 205 Live because your style just fit perfectly for that. But yeah.
Yeah, just two. I think 205 Live start like 2017 or something, and
Mm.
then yeah, only a few episodes. I was there like a couple of times, 3 times I think, in the SmackDown backstage. Just sit there,
Right.
wait and wait and travel and wait.
Right. Sitting in catering, not knowing if you'll be going up or not.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to getting asked to work for the company AEW? And what was the atmosphere like there in their locker room and stuff?
Um, that was 2021 when I was doing that U.S. tour, and I was based in Florida. Um, they have that week of taping in Florida as well, Jacksonville, and that's how I got the call um, to be there. And the first call was they can't guarantee me anything. Just come in and see what's going on. And I was there, and I don't know what to do. I was there. I walk in, and nobody knows what they're doing until I find my name on the paper, HoHo Lun versus Sammy Guevara. I was like, oh, I had a match, but then how? then how? I don't know where they are,
Right.
and how? And there was almost like 4 o'clock in the evening, and the show started at like 7 or something, and I was like, so how? But then I figured that out. And then I saw uh, Tainara Melo, Sammy's
Oh,
wife,
yeah. Yeah.
and we back in the days 2016, we actually went to NXT at the same day. So
Oh,
we
wow.
knew each
So,
other,
yeah,
and
like a
then Ty
little
said, "Oh,
reunion.
for a long time no see you, and you're wrestling Sammy. I feel happy for you." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, but where's Sammy? How? I don't know him." Then she actually helped us to link us up and figure that out.
Right. Do you wish you could have done more in the AEW ring? Do you think you could have done more?
Yeah, I think that was good enough. That tour was almost come to the end for that call, so I'm happy I was there. That tour 2021. Um, Other than AEW, I was able to wrestle for MLW as well, GCW as well. So these are the major, you know, company over there in the US. Some really good indies, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, DPW. They are in
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina. Um, and what else? I wrestled for a few more, and I think that tour was good enough. And you know, before I fly out to the US back in 2021, I always worry about, did the US fans still remember me? Did the US promoters still want me? I don't know. I have zero planning before I fly out. And then I fly out and then I start having all these bookings and then I find out, yeah, maybe I still have something in the position, the US
Right.
fans, they still remember me. That's why this give me a lot of confidence to come back again last year. And then last year in Philadelphia, all the convention and the shows and talk to the fans face to face, it gives me even more confidence for me to go again this year.
Of course, yeah. Is there any reasoning behind why you may have never gotten to the wrestle for New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Um, I don't know. I've never think of wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and getting this call from Dragon Gate. I actually have never thought of being in Japan full time, even when I was young, and even for the first 2 years in Dragon Gate, I don't feel like I will be in Japan that long. I don't speak Japanese. I start speaking some Japanese now, 5 years
Right.
now. But then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, but I've never had this vision of being in Japan full time. But then here I am. I'm here now. So you're talking about New Japan. I've never think of that. Being Dragon is so cool. You know what? Because back in the day when I trading VHS tape, Dragon Gate was one of my favorite, and I'm able to
Right.
wrestle here now with the wrestler that I saw 20 years ago on the VHS tapes. I'm actually happy enough to be here.
Of course, right. What is it like getting to be part of the faction Kung Fu Masters in Dragon Gate? And who came up with the idea to make that faction?
Um, because of the recent year, I put a lot of kung fu maneuver to my move set. It might be simple to a lot of people, all the counter, punch and kicks, but then it gives a rhythm to the fans to enjoy. And because of that, and one more thing, because we are based here in Kobe
Mm-hmm.
of Japan, and Kobe's Chinatown is one of the most famous Chinatown in Japan. So we discussed with the bookers and say, why don't we set up a kung fu team here in Kobe? And because of the Chinatown theme, and with my kung fu maneuver team, so we start this faction called Kung Fu Masters 3 years ago, and then it went well. It's Kobe only. It's a Kobe exclusive faction, but
Right.
then. But then because of that, the Kobe fans were really behind us whenever we come out in Kobe.
Nice, yeah. So you also work as like a play-by-play commentator right now. What company do you work as a play-by-play commentator for?
Yeah, here in Dragon Gate. back in 2020s, we used to fly in people from the US to do commentary. But then during COVID, nobody can come in, right, in Japan. So I
Right.
appear to be the only person who can speak English. So, so they said, "Are you up for doing commentary?" I said, "I've never done that before, and English is my second language." Dragon Gate. It's famous for the really fast paced action, right? So
Right.
with English as my second language, the move pass and then I is still doing all the translation in my head. She said, "I can't do it. I really can't do it. There's a lot of things that I can do, but commentary is the one thing that I can't do." I said, "Okay, let's try first." Okay, what do you mean try? And the next thing I know, they put me on a Korakuen live stream already. It's a live stream already. I said, "It's good. It's okay. Just do it. If you sound shit, we'll just don't put it on the on demand. Just live stream." Okay, I did that, and then they said, "Okay, you did pretty well. Let's do the second one." And then I become a commentary guy now since 2020. When nobody can come in, then yeah, yes I am now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask, like, what was it like getting to share the ring with? And I'm gonna say a wrestler's name. And what was it like? And what was he or they like in the ring? And then you're just gonna explain like what they were like in the ring. I'll
Yeah.
do that for like a few wrestlers.
Hmm.
So, what was it like to share the ring with Sanity, which was Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, and Eric Young in NXT?
Scary, really
Yeah.
scary. Um, Eric Young, right?
Right. Yeah.
Eric Young, he gave a chokehold on the top rope. I remember that it really shook me out. Really shook me out. Eric Young and who else?
It's Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf.
Alexander Wolf. He gave crazy German suplex
Oh yeah.
a few times. I was like, is it okay? The moment I was thinking if it's okay, we're already in the air and the world is already upside down on me. And who's the other guy? The last guy?
Damo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Damo, I know him back in the UK already, but we've never wrestled each other. The first time we wrestled each other was in NXT, and he's like what, 350 pounds,
Right. Yep.
and give me a slam there in the middle of the ring, and he said, "I'll give you a jumping senton." What? You're 350 pounds. You give me a jumping senton? Boom! And it was there. And then I wrestled them like for so many times because tagging with a Tambin, and I've been taking that German suplex and diving senton so many times, and wow, it's scary every time when I see the match card got announced. Sanity again.
Right.
No.
What was it like to share the ring with DIY, which was Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, who you and Tian lost the Dusty tournament to?
Um, they were one of the top tag team at that moment in NXT. But it's not as scary as wrestling with Sanity because we are about the same size, not like 2 times bigger than me. They were really fast paced. Champa was a little, uh, Champa was very stiff. Not very stiff, I would say. Very, very tough. He's really
Right.
tough. And boom, boom, boom. Give me all the strike. But then, yeah, we managed it. Gargano was, was known for really good technique, and he did
Yeah. And they're still together now to this day on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. What was it like to share the ring with AOP, Akam and Razar?
Actually got the same feeling as wrestling with Sanity.
Yeah.
They're big and wearing all the, how do you call that, the
The
tops.
bodies, like the
Yeah, the
bodyguard
body suit,
suits.
the body tops, and they come out the ring with the face was like he's gonna kill you. That face, as scary as wrestling with Sanity.
Right. What was it like wrestling or to share the ring with Velveteen Dream, which was in your last match?
Oh, um, he was uh he was pretty nice backstage sometime.
Yeah.
Um, um, but when he get to the ring, he just fire up. Um, yeah. Um, the match was okay. It's a short match. I remember it's only like 2 minute match. Gave me a jackhammer, and then he gave me I think it's a diving elbow from the top rope, or diving splash or
Yeah.
something. And I remember I was landing there in the ring. I was in the middle of the ring, and WWE ring is always big ring. When you're in the middle, it's already like 10 feet away from the corner. And I was
Yeah.
like, "That's very far. Are you sure you're gonna hit me? Okay." I was landing there, right? I was looking up, and he's another like 6 footer, so he's like a giant to me when I was lying there in the middle of the ring.
Right.
The time just stopped when he started jumping there from the top rope and land boom. Ooh.
Right. What was it like to share the ring with the Ely twins, Gabriel and Uriel Ely?
Oh, yeah. They were. I did I wrestle them before? I did not
Oh yeah,
remember.
and I think it was a trios match, and they were teamed up with Keyshawn Raftar. I think
Okay,
that's how you say his name.
okay. It might be one of the smaller show in Florida.
Right.
Um, yeah. I don't think they wrestle anymore now, right? But then back in the day, they came in. Um, they were like tall. They were like 6'8" or something.
Right.
And the problem is I don't know who is who because they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was the only memory that I have. I think.
Right. Yeah. If a movie was made about your career, who would you want to play you?
Oh, can I play myself?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I actually don't
guess.
know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to think
Yeah.
of all the actors that you could possibly think to play you. So which wrestler has given you the best advice and/or compliment?
Um. Um. William Regal, of course. Always
Oh
tell
yeah,
me about wrestle with the urgency. Have that fight mentality in the heart.
yeah,
Yeah, Regal's advice was always valuable.
of course. Was there any times in your career that there was like a crowd member that came out of the crowd and tried to attack you, or have you ever witnessed that before?
No, to be honest, never. I'm lucky enough to have never experienced that.
Yeah, that's good. We don't want that either.
Yeah.
If you could wrestle for any wrestling company right now, other than the companies that you wrestle for in overseas where you're at, what companies would you like to wrestle for?
You mean the company that I've never wrestled for?
Yeah.
It will be maybe TNA.
Ooh,
You
yeah.
know, as I said, I wrestled there for MLW, GCW, AEW, but then the only company that I have never wrestled for will be TNA. So if there's a chance, I would take it.
Of course, yeah. You'd be great for TNA. So, yeah.
Mm.
Would you rather join DX, NWO, APA, or BWO?
Wow. DX, of course. I grew up watching DX.
Right. Yeah. Are you a fan of any of like the hardcore wrestling, like ECW, like any of that type?
Um, yeah, I watch it here and there. Can't say I'm a fan. Oh, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
enjoy watching them, but not a big fan of. I'm more into the wrestling technique side of wrestling.
Right. If you could have any band or singer perform your theme song, who would you want that to be?
Wow, wow. Hmm. Hmm. That's a hard question. I'll give it a pass.
Okay, yeah. What is like a least favorite wrestling move to receive?
Any moves that drop on the head.
Yeah, like a tombstone pile driver and stuff.
Ah, that's scary.
Yeah, I heard that is like one of the most dangerous uh, moves out there.
Yeah, remember there's a few times when I take like drop on the head and I feel I can hear the crack from
Mm,
my back to my top of my head. And it's scary. It's nothing hurt. It's hurt that moment, but then the next day it's okay. But then it's just scary to take all that moves.
right. What has been the worst injury you have gotten in your career?
I'm lucky enough I didn't receive a lot of major injury. I've never missed anything more than like 2 weeks, so I feel like I'm just lucky enough to you know, have safe opponent on my side.
Right. If you got told you couldn't medically wrestle for the rest of your life, what would you do?
Am I told I can't wrestle?
Yeah, medically.
If I can't wrestle in my life, I've been a promoter for so long, and
Yeah.
I am still. I'm not a promoter here, but I manage a lot of talent related matter. If I
Mm-hmm.
can't wrestle, I feel like I still will have a career in wrestling, but in a different identity.
Of course, yeah. Out of everybody with like what would you say is like the best wrestling gear in your opinion? Which wrestler has the best wrestling gear?
2019, I say for me, we did really well in Hong Kong, and then Chinese wrestling now were also did really good. Guangzhou, Shanghai, um, and then the Southeast Asia side was also pretty good. Singapore. Um, that's when I called up for the WWE trial in Shanghai, which
Right.
there were things that a lot of good things planned ahead for 2020. So 2019 was a pretty good year. But then this year, not this year, 2024 was a pretty good year as well because everything just go back to where the 2019 level.
Yeah,
That's why I hope that this year will be the best ever.
most definitely, yeah.
Mm.
What does a meal prep usually look for, like for you on like a day of a wrestling show? Do you eat light or do you not really care what you eat?
Um, when we're here in Japan, everything is really convenient. We have 7-Eleven, convenience store everywhere, which sells very decent lunchbox. So my meal prep, well, I don't meal prep. I just walk into a convenience shop and grab whatever they have. 7-Eleven here is like it's like different level.
Right. Yeah, I don't have 7-Elevens where I'm at. I've only experienced one 7-Eleven in my life, and it was in Illinois. So, I mean, it was pretty cool to at least finally experience one, but yeah, I don't have them around me. I wish.
Yeah, the 7-Eleven in the US they only sell like pizza and hot dogs, right? Most of the time.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
slushies. That's
here
what
they
they're
have
most
like
known
a whole
for.
lunchbox with a steak and rice and salad box
Oh,
for
really?
like $5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why in Japan really don't need to have like meal preps, and then they have like whenever they sell the beef bowl, it's all 24 hours. It's like your Waffle House, but then they sell beef bowls. So here in Japan, everything is really convenient. You don't actually need to prepare a lot for you to go out. It's not like yeah, the road trip in the US sometimes is a bit painful. You go back, you drive back 3 hours after the show, and the only thing that open is Denny's or Waffle House. Yeah.
Right. Yep. What is your favorite Chinese or a Japanese food, sorry, and American food?
My favorite Japanese food is sushi. Chinese food, the barbecue park, Chinese barbecue.
Yeah,
That's awesome. And American food is also barbecue, but Texas style barbecue. I mean, the brisket.
oh.
Wow, that
Yeah.
might be my reason to come back to the US for this year. Is the barbecue, the pork ribs, and the brisket.
Right. If if you could go back and revisit any year of your wrestling career, what year would that be? Is that 2019, like you said a little bit earlier ago?
Yeah, yeah, 2019.
Yeah. If you could go back in time and tell your younger self something motivational towards being a wrestler, what would that be?
Hmm. What would that be? I would start at an even younger stage. I started when I was 20, but then if I could start it a little bit early, I would, and it would make
Yeah,
me, more agile. Everything.
of course. Yeah. I think starting earlier, the better, and then you have like a longer career.
Yeah.
Because I'm just breaking into the um, wrestling industry. I work for a company down here in Michigan, actually. I work as their backstage interviewer. So I
Hmm.
do that. So I broke in that way, and I've been doing that for a while now. So I do that, and I my dream is to become a wrestler. So one step forward, and I'm close to that. And I want to become a podcaster when I get older too. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah, podcast is the way to start.
yep,
Build your own things, and you can start through. You can end up there.
yep. So to finish off the interview, what is one thing you would tell your wrestling fans all over the world?
Um, I really appreciate that. Especially the US fans still remember me. Um, while I'm away for so many years, I come back 3 years ago. Remember me. I come back last year, they still remember me. I am basically away from the US most of the time, and you guys still remember me. So that's pretty amazing. So I hope that this year when I come back, I'll get all your support again.
Right. And then one last question that I ask everyone after is: do you have any advice for me to become a wrestler?
Um, Train hard and take care of your own body. If you get hurt, like seriously, everything comes to an end. So you got to take
Yeah.
care of your own body and don't do stupid things.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, and I thank you for doing this interview. It was a pleasure to have you on here. Is there anything else you would like to say before we end? Is there anywhere people could find you on like social media and any shows coming up or anything like that?
Thank you very much for having me. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram on the same handle HoHoLun719, and there will be my US tour coming up in April. Um, from when to when, I don't know yet, but I will be there definitely. Just a matter of if it's 3 days or 3 weeks.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Well, I thank you for taking your time out. It was great to have you on, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Good night.